Mary Simon was sworn in on Monday as Canada's 30th Governor-General and became Canada's first Inuk Governor-General. The historic appointment was preceded by a customary meeting with the Queen, and the ceremony was rather understated due to public health restrictions.
I am honored, humbled, and ready to be Canada's first Indigenous Governor-General. We have learned as a country that we need to learn the real history of Canada. Embracing this truth makes us stronger as a nation, unites Canadian society, and teaches our kids that we must always do our best, especially when it is hard.
The appointment by the Prime Minister has been questioned as Ms. Simon does not speak French fluently, and after receiving over 600 complaints, the Official Languages Commissioner has launched a probe into the Governor's general selection. So it's always an exciting time when we see the appointment and the swearing in of the Governor-General, and Mary Simon seems to be well-credentialed and have great experience at this time to be representing that role on behalf of the head of state or Queen. And so obviously, it was somewhat challenged as a result of some issues that are arising as a result of her not being bilingual in both English and French. So give me some of your thoughts on this. Where do you stand? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I like where you started with that and saying this discussion has nothing to do with her credentials or ability as a Governor General. It really has to do with the choice that was made by the government in appointing her, right?
Yeah,
suggesting her to the Queen, right?
The Prime Minister does the selection. So I think when people are taking a look at it, they're questioning, was this the right appointment based on certain considerations and customs?
This is exactly right. And so I think one of the things that's really important is looking at why we are bilingual in the first place as a country. What are some of those tensions between our French-speaking population, our English-speaking population? And how would you feel as a French-speaking Canadian if the person that's now chosen to represent you as official head of state, how would you feel if they couldn't communicate with you in your language?
Well, and I think a lot of people are saying this. They're saying, what happens if Mary Simon only spoke French and an Indigenous language? Would that be acceptable to English Canadians?
We'd have even more outcry.
And you wonder where that would stand. However, she's not the first Governor-General to not be fluent in French. We had Ray Natition and we had Schreier. They were both appointed, one under Pierre Trudeau, one under Brian Mulroney. And so, sometimes we have to take a look at, well, why is there more emphasis on it now than it was then?
Yeah, well, I think we live in a different social and political climate than back then. I think we have to look all the time and not be applying where we are at now back on those times, right? So what were things looking like then versus now? Access to information, mass communication, that kind of thing. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, getting 600 complaints, into the Official Languages Commissioner is a byproduct of where we're at in social media and how everybody can interact. And we're also taking a look at, in 1978, when Pierre Trudeau appointed Ed Schreier, we're actually taking a look at that was just the birth of the Official Languages Commissioner, and that was as a strike for unity. So when we take a look at this and we take a look at the Prime Minister's appointment, I think the biggest question is Justin Trudeau holding to the same tenets as his father in making sure that there's the unification between English and French language speaking Canadians?
And I think, too, Canadians rely on some of the structures, the laws, the different decisions and agreements that have been made for a sense of security, for a sense of an anchor point. So if we start throwing those out the window, what does that actually mean for Canadians in terms of knowing that they have a cornerstone, an anchor point, a place that they can trust?
Exactly. And now you've gone into, my favorite Netflix series, The Crown, and you start to see, these customs and these traditions actually have some importance, and that there's institutions that should not be destabilized. And I think the biggest thing is, could you deal with the important appointment of an Indigenous Governor-General and yet still maintain the bilingualism?
Absolutely. I think that's an incredibly important thing to look at.
Symbolic statements are important, and the Prime Minister's appointment of Mary Simon is an important step for improving relations with Indigenous peoples. However, the selection of a Governor-General that cannot currently serve Canadians in French is also a statement, and maintaining the delicate relationship between English and French-speaking Canadians does not need to come at the expense of improving Indigenous relations. While no one doubts that Ms. Simon will be a great Governor-General, the Prime Minister's selection is questionable, as the continued unity of the country should be a paramount consideration for any Prime Minister. Stay with us. When we return, we'll be looking at a new survey on long-term care in Canada.